Alright guys, Clash of Cultures time. This is my response to Gunnut. I've, kind of lived out here in the middle of nowhere my whole life, so I don't know a whole lot about what goes on in the inner cities. Especially don't know what goes on in black communities. I've known, when I went to school there was 6 or 7 black kids in the whole school. And they didn't act, inner city or ghetto or anything like that. They were just like me. They lived, they grew up out around here. They didn't have the ebonics and the gang culture or anything like that going on. So according to Gunnut, stitches, what was it? Snitches get stitches? I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're snitching about. In my opinion, there's 2 types of laws. There's laws to protect the government, and there's laws to protect the community and the people. The laws to protect the community and the people, those are laws like speed limits, stuff like that. So, if you live in the city, you don't have people flying up and down the road all day long going 70 miles an hour. That's it's common sense, protect people. There's laws that say, you can't take a handful of bricks and start throwing them at your neighbor. Then there's the laws to protect the government that are like, well, you can't own a 50 caliber machine gun, you can't own a rocket launcher, you can't own explosive devices. That's really only protect the government, in my opinion. I mean, that's so that they have you outgunned in the end. You can still own your assault rifles and all that stuff, but in the end, they'll still have you outgunned. So, I don't think I would ever snitch, as Gunnut would say, on someone who, if my neighbor had a 50 cal machine gun and I knew about it, I don't care, dude. If he's not shooting it over my house, I don't care. He's not bothering me. Live and let live. He has the right to do whatever he wants, as long as his rights aren't, as long as he's not infringing on my rights. If you want to sit around your house, smoke weed all day, go ahead. I don't care. But don't bring it on a public bus where other people have to breathe that crap in, because you're infringing on their right not to smoke it. They're infringing on their right to have clean air. That's why I kind of like the cigarette laws. A lot of people don't agree with it, but I like it because when you force someone to have to breathe in your nasty smoke, then you're trampling on their rights. I kind of feel the same way about real nasty, thick perfume. If you're putting on your cologne for a date, just put it on your neck or whatever, that's fine, dude. But there's some people out there, I swear to God, man, they wash their hair in cologne. Ugh, sick. Okay, so I've established my 2 types of laws that this is all naughty feline, crazy guy that lives out in the middle of nowhere. So there's this situation in the cities where they say if you snitch on criminals, then you're somehow guilty. Well, who do you have a responsibility to? As a man, as a human being, forget about the color of your skin, forget about, being a brother, being a sister, being part of the black community or the Latino community or whatever community you're part of. Well, don't forget about the community. That's the thing. You're a part of a community. If you live in a town, it's your job to look after your town. It's your job to look after your neighbor. It's your job to look after your friends, not look after a criminal. When let's say someone's broke into your neighbor's house and you know who did it, is your responsibility to your neighbor and your community to turn this criminal in? Or is it your responsibility to somehow, just shut up and not say anything and let the criminal keep on doing what he's doing? Think about it like that for a minute. And people say, well, it's none of your business. You should just mind your own business. Don't say anything. I didn't see anything. Dude, that's how communities get so screwed up. That's why no one wants to live in Detroit and Philadelphia all these ghettos and these slums and crap, because they're overrun by crime. Because there's this culture that says the criminals can do whatever the heck they want, but if you turn in a criminal, then you're the guilty one. They're not, you know what I mean? Like these rappers and these high-profile criminals who, they glamorize prison life. They try and make it look so good, and they say, you should be able to commit whatever crimes you want, and the community shouldn't tell you because you're a traitor, you're an Uncle Tom, you're whatever, stop acting, in a certain way. Well, these guys are just freaking thugs and criminals to begin with, and they're the ones that are the cause of the problem. They're the ones who make the cities suck so bad, man. I live 50 miles from Pittsburgh. I haven't been up there in like 3 or 4 years, man. It just sucks. It used to be decent, but it's just not fun anymore. And you go up there and there are parts of town that are just run down and riddled with crime. And I mean, it's just a fact. If you go to these areas, you're in danger. I mean, there's a higher percentage of getting hurt or mugged or robbed or anything if you're in these areas, and people don't want to be there anymore, and they get run down because businesses close. The wealthier people move out of town. They stop. There's no one around to take care of the place anymore. There's no one around to provide jobs anymore, and they turn into a slum and a ghetto. And the reason why is because I think that the criminals are trying to build up a culture where they're safe while everyone else is in danger. You know what I mean? Like a gang. They're out committing crimes and stuff, and they say, well, if you rat on us, man, we'll come and slit your throat, or we'll make sure you get yours. Well, shouldn't the community rise up against these people? These people are the ones who are destroying the community to begin with. These people are the same reason why the town sucks, dude. They're the same reason why your kids can't walk the streets after dark. And these are the guys you're going to take advice from. These are the guys you're going to listen to when they say, don't rat. They don't care anything about you. They don't care anything about their community, man. All they care about is being able to commit crimes and get away with it. And they're smart enough that they're screwing with your head. They're telling you that you're the one who's going to get in trouble if they commit a crime. They're trying to make sure. It's like what the heck is it? It's the Samson option that Israel has. Israel has all these nukes, right? So in the end, the USA kind of has to protect Israel, because Israel has the ability to nuke parts of the USA. If Israel's going to go down, they've already admitted that if they're going to go down, they're going to launch their nukes, man. They're going to hit the US, they're going to hit parts of Europe, they're going to hit wherever they can. So it forces these nations to kind of look after Israel, to make sure Israel isn't going to go down. Well, it's kind of the same way in these cities where the criminals say, look, man, we're going to go out, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to smash and grab the stores. We're going to drive people out of town. We're going to carjack right in front of your house. We're going to rob your neighbors. We're going to rob you. We're going to sell drugs in your neighborhood to your kids. And if you say anything, then we'll come by and mess you up. Because if we're going to go down, we're going to make sure you're going to go down with us. Well, I don't get why communities kind of roll over and accept it. They've kind of been brainwashed to the point where screw the police. You hear that a lot, except it's more like F the police, and they call it police. I don't know why you guys do that. Anyway, screw the police. Some of them are bad, and I wouldn't trust most police if shit hit the fan. I don't think most police would obey the Constitution. They do whatever they're told, okay? But right now, while we still have rule of law, I still trust most police. A cop has to actually do something to get on my bad side before I don't trust him. Otherwise, I'll respect the badge. I'll respect the uniform. I'll respect the authority. And I'm not of the opinion that you shouldn't talk to the police, if you witness a crime. Because it's going to come back and bite you somehow. You know, if you ignore your neighbor to your left getting robbed, you ignore the neighbor to your right getting robbed, you know who's doing it, and you're not going to call the cops and say anything, guess what? You're going to get hit eventually too. You're not going to get rewarded for not snitching. Right? You're not going to... If Daryl robs your neighbor, you look out the window and go, "Oh, hey, Daryl," and he's freaking leaving the house with the big screen TV in his hand, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Jerome, what's up, man?" And you're like, "Oh, nothing, Daryl, see you later." The cops show up and go, "Who was that?" And you're like, "Oh." Daryl's gonna come back to your house the next night and rob the crap out of you. He's not gonna go, "Oh, thanks for not telling me, dude. I'm not gonna rob you." No, man, he'll rob you. He doesn't care. I don't know, that's just my opinion. That's my response. Tell me what you think.